Hi, I'm going to show you how to run pandas on the Dardel HPC cluster as maintained by PDC as part of this course using Python in an HPC environment taught by these organizations. So again, this is for the Dardel HPC cluster and we're going to get pandas running on Dardel. In this session we're going to use the documentation of Dardel. We're going to find out why pandas is important. We're going to run some Python code that uses panda. Besides that, we have optional things. So this session is part of a course about using Python in an HPC environment. I will only show you the part where we use pandas in an HPC environment. These optional things are more about using pandas. And this is when you have more time in the course, then you have some time to study pandas more. But this will not be the focus of this session. Good. So we're going to focus on pandas on HPC. What is pandas? Let's zoom in from the pandas homepage. Here it's described. Pandas is a fast, powerful, flexible and easy to use open source data analysis and manipulation tool built in Python. And the purpose of Panda is to work with or on data. And as an example is this data set. This is a data set taken from Wikipedia. I simplified it a bit, but here we have, this is a so-called messy data set. Although we can maybe understand what it is about. You know, there's some countries, we do think as humans that these are years. We cannot guess these values, but probably they're in the caption of the figure. These are democracy indices. So this is not a messy table, but sometimes you use them anyways. It's called a wide table too. But let's say you want to convert this to a so-called tidy data format. I'll show it here. This is how it looks like. This is exactly the same data, but now it's in a tidy data format. Where every row has only one thing being measured at the same time. And now it's clear what these things are. We had a country, we had a year, and we had a democracy level. And the code to convert this to this, do not hand code it. Instead, use this function taken from pandas. That's all you need there is. Also with pandas you can read your data from a comma separated file. So with pandas you can read your data, work with it, and of course you can then also save it. Good, so this is what pandas does. It allows you to transform your data from this or that or clean up or what other. There are so many other things you can do. Here's a figure about reshaping data. Let's take a look at the panda cheat sheet just for a short brief. Alright, it gives you the definition of tidy data. Here we have reshaping data, all world subset observation rows or variables, subset using queries, handling missing data, summarizing data, like the things you want. It even has some plotting. So it has a lot of things. So pandas allows you to work with data. And the most important thing about panda is not only it's a very popular Python package, but it also gives you a vocabulary to talk about the manipulations on your data. Like melting and pivoting, those are verbs that are now commonly used if you use pandas, including in other programming languages too, especially pivoting, that is used in, for example, R. With that out of the way, now we know why pandas is important and what it is. Let's take a look at some exercises. So at the left we have an overview of the exercise 1, minimal code, 2, reading and saving a comma separated file. Let's see if I do that. Exercise 1 is absolutely the most important one. So let's take a look. We need to use the documentation of the HPC cluster we work on. So I'm going to put this page to the left side of the screen and I'm going to search for PDC Dardel user documentation. And then I should quickly find it. There we have it. Quick start support. I think we are at the documentation now. Good. In the documentation, find the software module to load the pandas package. So I'm going to click on here, search pandas. Let's see. There is no matching documentation. Pandas. maybe Python packages. Here we search for the word pandas. No. So we conclude that pandas is absent on Dardel. Sure, there's some documentation here. Apparently, this is about TensorFlow, whatever that is, pandas. Oh, it even does not match anymore. So that means PDC has not at all documented how to use pandas. That means we need to find out how to load the pandas module on our own. So I'll first try it myself to see how to search, but already the answer is here. And we can already see from the answer we need to load a module, then install it. I'm just going to copy paste this answer. So let's go to Dardel. So here we have Dardel. I just logged in. I put this at the right side screen of my screen. I press paste, or I can also use Ctrl+Shift+V. And now I have the pandas module loaded. Let's take a look what it says. There it's actually installing the pandas module. Next step. On your HPC cluster, create a script called pandas exercise 1 with the following code. Let's take a look at that. So you need to create a file called pandas exercise. Sure, we can do this. So let's go back to Dardel. And it's still installing. We'll need to wait a bit. So we're going to create this file with this content. And you see this is a very minimal script. And also this is also the question at the bottom is, why is this a useful exercise anyways? This is because if this does not work, pandas will never work. This is the bare minimum. Yeah, so let's do it. So to do this, we're going to use Nano. It's a great editor. If you run it like this though, you'll see it's not found. On Dardel, you need to do module load nano first. Oh, let's not make a typo there. Module, yeah. There. Module load nano. Now I have nano loaded. Now I can create this file. I'm going to copy this code. I go back to Dardel. I paste the code with Ctrl+Shift+V. In Nano, I use Ctrl+O to save. There, I press Enter because I like the name I gave it. And now I press Ctrl+X to exit. There. Next step, run the script. So because Dardel does not document this, you'll see if I do Python pandas exercise 1, this is what you would think would work. This is false here, doesn't know it. Instead, you need to do Python 3 pandas exercise 1. And the reason is also because if you take a look at how we installed pandas, here we explicitly used pip3. So this is the Python installer version 3. Pip is one of the many package installers. And now here we have loaded pandas. So what it says the version 3.0.2, which is the version of pandas. Good. So this is what we have done. What do you see? We did see the version. And why is this useful anyways? It proves it works. Good. Let's take a look at exercise 2 because there is some cluster specific things. Let's take a look. In this exercise we will first read the diamonds dataset. I'm going to close this because you don't need it anymore. We will first read the diamonds dataset. It's a dataset about diamonds and it's described in an R package. Download this file to the same folder as you were where you were running your Python code. So this file apparently is behind this link. So I'm going to copy this link, copy link address. And then here I use wget, Ctrl+Shift+V. And this should give me the diamonds dataset. Let's take a look. There it downloaded things. I can take a look at the diamonds dataset now just to see if it's correct. Yeah, this looks perfect. Good. So we have downloaded the diamond datasets. Here, let's take a look at the answer says. Like sure, you can do this in many ways. You can use a program to upload the file, or if you have a virtual environment, you can just drag and drop it. Or this is what I did. I just downloaded it. Yeah. Anyway, next step on your HPC cluster, create a script called pandas exercise 2. Let's do that. Let's create a script. I'm going to use this line. Use a 2. I'm going to copy paste this. Copy. Control Shift V. Control O to save. Enter to accept. Control X to quit. I've done that. Now we're going to run the script. So that's Python 3 exercise 2. Let's take a look what it's doing. And while this will check if the answer is correct, should use Python 3. There it is. You see, it's the only one that doesn't use regular Python. Let's take a look. What does this script do? Let's take a look at the code. So apparently it's reading a comma-separated file, and then it's printing it. And here we see it. Here we see the results at the right. So we see that it has read our data set and it's printing the table, but also there's some layout, like here it shows which row is the index of the row. It shows the columns caret, cut. This is an indication of columns that are not displayed because it didn't fit, and Y and Z. And I think this is the distance in the length and the depth of the diamond in centimeters or something. Also, like it shows the first 5 rows and it shows the last 5 rows, and in between it says, all right, this I won't display. Good. Next step is to save it. Add the following code. We're gonna save this table as something else. Sure, let's do this. I'm gonna nano it. I'm gonna add this line of code, so I'm gonna copy paste this line there. I'm gonna paste there. I'm gonna save, use Control O to save. I press enter to accept and press Control X to quit. And now we're gonna run the code again. And now we're gonna take a look at the results. So it reads a comma separated file and then it saves it as a comma separated file. We're gonna take a look how it looks like. So here it displays it. And now we're gonna display this file. So there are many ways to display a file. One way is to use cat. This works on all HPC clusters. And here we see what this data looks like now. Let's simplify it a bit. Let's only use the first 5 lines, which is the tool called head does this, or the first 10 lines. Then you see the top. If we compare this to the diamonds, the original data, look closely at the difference. And for example, this should already give it away. So let's take a look at the diamonds. So one difference is already that the diamonds data set has these double quotes around it. That's not very different. It starts with caret, and also the first row has the amount of carets the first diamond has. Whereas if you take a look at what pandas does, it has a comma in front of the word caret, which means that there's an extra column without a name. And that first extra column without a name is the index of that row. So pandas adds the index of a row. The original dataset did not have it, but when we read it and when we save it, pandas turns it into something else. Alright, so what has been added to your data? The row number has been added to our data. Next line, in pandas exercise 2, replace the last line by this version. So, right, so this is the same table to TSV, but now its index is false is added there. Right, I'm going to copy. I'm going to use nano. I'm going to Control Shift V. Paste. It doesn't show because it's such a long line. I'm going to remove this line. Don't need it anymore. I'm going to save with Control O accept with enter, Control Q to Control X to quit. Now we're running it again. There. How does the data look like now? So let's take a look. We set index is false. So it turns off something, and probably it turns off adding the index of each row. So maybe we now get our regular data back. Let's take a look at the data created. And this is the data created. And here we now see that it starts also here with caret, and it starts with the number of carats for the first diamond, the weight of the diamond. Good. So this is typically the one you'll be using. What seems to be the most useful way to save with or without indexing? Without indexing. It was useful in the past. Nowadays most people don't use this anymore because we have better tools and more memory and so on. But still, so that's the next question. Why would pandas keep it in? This is for backwards compatibility. It used to be a very useful feature at the start in the field pandas was initially developed in, which is econometrics. And there it was just in, and then they thought, alright, what are we going to do with it? It's not useful for others. They could remove it entirely, but then old code would break. So instead they allowed users to disable indexing so that old code would still work as it did before. And now everybody, or most of us, will have to turn this off. Good, so these were, now I see this is the end of this video, we're nearing. Now we're going talk about tidy data, which is very general. What does pandas mean? This is like, so exercise 3 is about using pandas. Well, I'm not going to discuss this here because this course is called Using Python in HPC Environment, and I've just shown you how to use pandas on the Dardel HPC cluster. With that, I wish you a very good day. Bye.